experiencing homelessness have been around a lot longer than most of us know, to be honest with you. Communities embrace the tiny home idea. Some days I think, could I fit everything I own into a tiny home? No.
One word to describe Miramichi.
Amazing.
Welcome back to Miramichi Talks. I'm Pat here at Excursions with Pat, and today I will be sitting down with Miramichi Mayor Veronique Arsenault. We're going to be talking about the future of Miramichi, the housing, the homelessness, the economic development in the Miramichi, and the challenges Miramichi has been facing. We're also going to talk about 12 neighbors' tiny homes. Can it actually happen here in Miramichi? And we'll have a little bit of fun at the end with a little bit of Miramichi Rapid Fire. But thank you all for coming in here with Miramichi Talks on Excursions with Pat. Well, thank you all for coming in again. Don't forget to hit that like, hit that subscribe. Now let's get started. All right, thank you everybody for coming in here with Miramichi Talks with Excursions with Pat. That's me. I have a lady that took the time to come out and talk with me about topics of Miramichi. She's been a counselor, elected counselor for 4 years since 2021, and now she is the mayor of Miramichi. So no further ado, welcome in, Mayor Arsenault. How are you?
Thank you. Please just call me Vero. It's a whole lot easier for everybody.
Call you Vera?
Vero.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you okay? I was talking to the wife. I said, "How do you pronounce her name?" So we're like, Veronique.
Yep, Veronique. That's it.
Veronique. All right. I was working on that one. All right. So
it's a tough one, and I know that it's the French version of Veronica, and
okay.
And so yeah, Veronique or Vero, one or the other.
Okay.
Pretty much, I'll answer to whatever.
So I mentioned you earlier that I have a little dyslexic problem, yeah. So I'll see Vero. Well, thanks so much. But yeah, thanks again for coming in. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and what made you decide to run for mayor of Miramichi?
Yeah, so 20 years ago, moved back home to Miramichi. I was living in Ottawa at that point, and had a really good job, had a great community that I was part of, friends, that kind of thing, but was volunteering in Ottawa here and there. That's always been part of my life. That's how I grew up. That's how my family always expected us to be, is involved in the community. And I found I was missing kind of something. There was something that wasn't, I don't know, it sounds kind of hokey, but my soul wasn't
cliche.
Full, like I wasn't living my best life. I didn't feel like. So I was home for Christmas that year, and my aunt was receiving one of the awards at the New Year's levy for her volunteerism at the time, and she talked about everything that volunteering gave her, not what she was giving to volunteering. And I remember it was a blizzard out that day, and it was the new courthouse had just opened, and that's where the ceremony was. And my mom was sitting beside me, and I said, "Oh, Mom, I really want to feel that." And mothers, as they do, they can be quite blunt at times. She looked at me and she said, "Well, then do something about it." So then that next summer, I moved home, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't really have a plan or a job, but I set out to figure that out, and started teaching that fall. So I moved home in July, started teaching that fall. My grandmother was still living with me at the time. She had Alzheimer's and was teaching, and fell in love with the community. I started volunteering a lot. Not long after that, I got a job with the Chamber of Commerce. So I became the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce. And in a really tough time, within the first 18 months, all of the mills shut down. And it was a really hard time for the community, because that was what our identity was based on, basically, right? So many of our community was employed at the mills, and then all of a sudden they were moving out west. So they were half time out west, half time here. So I was teaching full time, and I was the director of the Chamber of Commerce at the time. And a lot of the kids that I was teaching, one parent was out west, one parent was here. So it was a really tough dynamic for the families at the time. And I stayed with the Chamber of Commerce for about 4 years, worked a lot of nonprofit at the time, then went on to work for the government for a very short period of time for the census in 2011 and 2016. Opened my own restaurant in the middle of that, which was...
Oh, nice.
That was an unreal experience. It was, I miss it in a lot of ways. I don't miss it in a lot of ways. I had 3 floods, fire, and an explosion in 3 years.
Wow.
And it was an incredibly old building, just on the front street here in Chatham, where Blush Beauty Bar is now. So they've done wonders with that building. But for me, it became too much. The first flood happened 6 weeks into the season. So we opened Mother's Day weekend, and I lost pretty much the whole first summer. And insurance wouldn't cover it because I had just been open. So I went in the hole. All of my kind of, savings that I had set aside to get me through the rough parts all went in that first summer. So I really never recovered. And so that taught me a huge lesson.
No doubt.
Business and all of that good stuff. And anyway, then went on to work for the Multicultural Association, and then finally for the federal government in 2017. So I've been with the federal government since.
Oh, wow. Well, you have quite a large resume there. But you've definitely lived and working in the public area, running a business is quite hard.
It's so lonely. It's like you are solely responsible. It's so lonely, and people don't realize that, I don't think.
It's, as you know, we run our own business too, and it's definitely challenging. It's so they call it alligator skin. So, but if you love your community, that's what you do. You stick with it, and through tough times, you just get through it. So now that you're mayor, congratulations, by the way, newly mayor.
Yes, very new.
Yes. So has the job been what you expected?
Yes, it has in most ways. I was very involved when I was a counselor. I spent 5 years on council, and that was a wonderful experience. And I really had anticipated running for council again, to be honest, and not for mayor. But I found that, I needed to be part of that telling of our story, because I found that was something that we had lacked in the past, that we struggled to tell the world the good things about Miramichi and what our history was and where we could see ourselves in the future. And, I felt like there was a lot of opportunity on the horizon, and I wanted to be part of those things. And I never ever want to look back on my life and wish I had done something, And so when I finally did decide to put my name forward, I jumped in with my whole heart and soul. And because, if you don't win, then you're done. Right. Yeah. And that was my worry, that I wouldn't be able to be part of council and get to be part of those decisions.
Sorry. So what you just said, I thought that was right too. So when you become city councilor and then want to be elected as mayor, you can't go back to becoming a city councilor. Really? I didn't know that. So you took a risky business to jump the gun and become mayor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was the part that, because I loved that work. Like, I love the work, and it sounds, a little hokey, like I said earlier, but I love the work of the day to day, and especially with council, because it really is the day-to-day living of our citizens, right? We're talking about garbage collection. As I look at my it's garbage day here on my street, and I can see my garbage bin out there. And
ours is Friday. Every 2 weeks.
Right? So, like, we're literally talking about the day-to-day things that affect our neighbors, our, friends, family, the community. And so we are the closest to all of those decisions that happen in the day-to-day. And I love the work. I really do. I think it's interesting. I love the fact that I can go to the grocery store and people will stop and tell me what they think is working, what they think it isn't, what they think could be better. I love the interaction and the ability to listen to the community, because I don't have all the answers. I know that.
No.
And we have great counselors around the table that come from different perspectives, different experiences, and all together we can come up with some great answers, but we still may not have all of the answers.
No.
And so the ability for me to be able to get out into the community and listen, even if it's just on a random Tuesday because I'm in the grocery store, I love that. And so I really dug deep and decided that running for mayor was the best way that I could serve my community. With the experiences that I had gained over my lifetime. And I've been really lucky. I've traveled the world because of Dad's work and learned a lot from my mom and how incredibly humble and kind she was. And just really wanted to be able to do whatever I could for the community.
Well, we all need mom and dad. They're the ones that brought us up into this world. And there's definitely a lot of challenges. So I know there's a lot of challenges that we face here in the Miramichi. So my question is, what are the top 3 priorities that Miramichi is facing right now? And I know you can't fix it all, but what's one of the 3, if not one, priorities in Miramichi?
Yeah. Economic development is a massive one, right? But economic development doesn't happen on its own, right? You can't just say, bring more companies here, bring more businesses here. There has to be something here that attracts them and wants them to stay. And so part of that economic development, one, we have to get a whole lot more aggressive as we go looking for companies that might want to settle here. We can't wait for them to pop up on our doorstep anymore and say, oh, Miramichi seems like a nice place. So we need to go out and tell that story about what Miramichi offers. But at the same time, we need to have enough housing for employees to live in, and for our own citizens to be able to have a variety of housing to choose from. We have to make sure that our own citizens can get the training that they need to work at these companies, and that's a partnership with NBCC. That's a partnership with the new Beale University that's coming in. I would love to see either St. Thomas or UNB have a campus here, to really expand what the options are. We have a lot of really great small training companies that are starting up, especially around the medical field, like PSW training. Parker Home Care has done, I think, 4 graduating classes. We had another one that I attended with Elite Academy not too long ago. So those things are starting to pop up to really feed the pieces that we're missing in the community. And then we have to have the infrastructure ready to sustain like these companies, and but also things for their families and them to do. So economic development is huge, but it has those branches that have to happen at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. So one of the issues with that as well is to attract and keep our young people here. I mean, didn't happen yesterday. I mean, you're talking. I'm going back 30 years for myself, where I went out west and I worked a lot of seismic and stuff, and a lot of Miramichiers did that. I mean, one reason why I moved out. Well, I didn't move it. Well, I moved out to work, right? Right after high school, I went out. Then I came back, found a job at Acom Plywood. We all know what happened there. Place burnt down. Then Tozer started back up again, and then it shut down again. I went back out west. Then I decided to move back, and I was able to find a good job. I think it was doing engineering where I met Tim Sutton.
Yeah.
So I know there's challenges to keep the young people here, and I know we need to bring businesses here. So, and good paying jobs. So you're saying that we need to drive businesses here. Is there certain businesses that are looking to come here? Like, what's the procedure of bringing them here? More of, if you come here, we'll give you this, or what's the process of that?
Yeah, it's, part of that's going to be, it's going to have to be working with the provincial government, right? And Opportunities New Brunswick, and partnering and federal incentives as well. We can't do this on our own.
Mm-mm.
And, working with all levels of government was another piece of the pie that I really wanted to focus on, is that, progress through collaboration. I talked a lot about that through my campaign, and I meant it, because we can't do it on our own, and neither can the other levels of government. Of course they have bigger pots of money, but it's really about finding what they've got going on and us jumping on board in some cases. So, if they're doing, if they're going to Ottawa because they've got a trade connection there, then let's hop on board with them and go to Ottawa as well and have those conversations. But it's really, for us, up until now, and it's no fault of our staff at the city, we've just kind of waited for projects to come. And connected with us, and then we've worked with them to either get them to the finish line or not, because both things happen, and now I feel like we really need to empower our staff at City Hall to start looking, to start heading out and finding, like, if Bob's widgets company in Alberta wants to expand, let's go see Bob's Widgets company in Alberta and show him why Miramichi is the place to do that, and to tell our story in a whole lot better way. We haven't done that, and that's the part that we need to focus on, is making sure that Miramichi is top of mind and hitting the road, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you can give them the free fishing license for bass and salmon here on the Miramichi for a year, for all your workers. A little bit incentives, right? So
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it makes such a difference when companies like that can feel like they have a vested interest in the community, where they can see their employees raising families, and because they want to keep their employees happy and stable as well, right? They want them long term. And so if they can find communities where they can expand, and grow while still getting all of those good things for their employees, then absolutely they're going to think about us.
I know, like, for over the years I've worked, just a simple birthday card or $25 gift certificate to go to the movies or whatever. That means, it's really nothing, but it means a lot to the employees.
Absolutely.
That you do receive something like that. So I'm just gonna switch it up here. So, as far as the growth here on Miramichi, and we've seen a lot of different cultures moving into the city. I've seen it a lot at the shop. So what are the challenges for the newcomers coming into Miramichi when they arrive, and what's the help that they get when they do come?
Yeah, so there's a lot of steps before they get here, and especially if they are coming in through different streams, right? So I mean, we look at the last weekend that just went by, and what an incredible weekend it was. Friday night, I got to celebrate the Scottish Heritage Festival. Saturday, I got to celebrate National Acadian Day, and Sunday, I got to celebrate
Wow.
Fiesta Extravaganza with the Filipino community. Right,
Yeah.
like in 3 days, three massive cultures that have created such wonderful, rich history here. And if you take our Filipino community, they've been growing over the last number of years, and it's incredible to see. They've started businesses, and they've created their own association and community, and now they bring this wonderful festival here to Miramichi that could go anywhere, right?
Yeah.
But it brings thousands of people into our community for 3 days, and they stay in our hotels, they buy gas, they go to our restaurants, all of that kind of great stuff.
It's money getting brought into the city.
Absolutely. The economic spin-off from these festivals is incredible. And so, some of the challenges, though, is a lot of the people that are coming into the country, and it's related to accreditation through the provincial and federal governments. They have been doctors or architects or whatever in their home country, and it takes many years once they get to Canada to be accredited as a Canadian doctor or architect or whatever it may be. And so they end up for a lot of years doing jobs, working, whether it be fast food or retail, or working as a PSW or whatever it may be, in some of our home care. And so it's a challenge. We need their expertise. We need, we know that it is a struggle to recruit healthcare workers in any way. And so a lot of these people, and especially we're seeing from the Philippines, we wouldn't be able to run our hospital, our care homes, or whatever, without the wonderful work that they bring to those environments. So, it's a challenge for them to create a life here and to settle into a community where they don't know anybody. But thankfully, particularly with our Filipino community, they're creating their own supports. And so we're seeing that community grow. But we have, I think it's over 70 nations represented here in Miramichi now. And they bring such a rich, vibrant history with them that they want to share with us, and they want to be part of our community and the great things that we're doing here. So, it's really a win-win, I find.
Yeah. No, it's pretty much a different perspective of way that we should think too. There's not always the one way. There's multiple ways that we can grow and learn from it. If you're willing to learn, you're going to be better off. That's what we've learned. You got to grow with the times, and it's different every year. Times are different. When I grew up here in the Miramichi back in the 90s, I had no cell phones. Now there's cell phones everywhere. It's crazy. There's tens and thousands of satellites flown around space right now, and you can see them going around all the time.
I'm so glad there was no cell phones or videos. When I was young, I was not the best behaved young person.
Yeah. So to that point, what are you most excited about happening in Miramichi right now?
Oh, that's a tough one. Right now, I love the feeling that there is possibility on the horizon. We're about to see the Arbac Wellness Center open later this fall. And I truly think people will be surprised when they walk through the front doors. I don't think they understand. I didn't understand until I saw it in person what an incredible facility this is going to be for our community. And the economic spin-off that it will bring as well. There are still things that we need to fix, add, keep doing, grow. But I think, as we start, I think people are going to be surprised. So I'm looking forward to that. But there's a feeling right now. I've had I've been able, since I was elected in May, I've been able to meet with the Premier. I've been able to meet with the Minister of Local Government, the Minister of Social Development, and the Minister of Opportunities, New Brunswick, over the last couple of months. And there's a real feeling of, what can we do? What can we partner with Miramichi on? And I've talked to them a lot about, we're eager. If you've got a pilot project that you want to test out, you don't know where to do it, bring it to Miramichi. We'll figure it out. If you've got, some services, or, of course, we're always in need of money. Absolutely. But if you want to, expand services, or let's talk about mental health, or whatever it may be, Miramichi will figure it out. Let us have a shot at that. And they all seem pretty eager to be able to do that as well. So I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, if they want to run a pilot program, then there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of things that Miramichi needs help with. So I want to talk a little bit about housing and homelessness. And you guys probably know a lot of it. And I've been hearing a lot of it too. And I don't know if you remember. Do you remember Buddy Wilson? Remember him? Well, I used to live my good friend of mine used to live down the street where he lived, and I used to see him all the time at the liquor store, hanging out and trying to gather some money. So there was barely no homelessness around at that time. There were shelters for people and stuff, but there's definitely a lot in the Miramichis. How serious is it, the homelessness here in Miramichi? And what are you guys helping it with that?
Yeah, I think those experiencing homelessness have been around a lot longer than most of us know, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think for a long time, a lot of people couch surfed, and they spent time, friends and family took them in, but they really had nowhere to go, or they were living in their car, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
What's happened over the last probably 4 years, I would say, is for the first time, Miramichi had visible homelessness, where, that stereotypical thing that you would see in a movie or a, show finally showed up, right? But I think we had it for a long time before that. And it's been really tough because it's been a very steep learning curve for us on council. We had no experience without, with that, right? As a community, it was always a provincial responsibility. But over the last number of years, we've seen that responsibility downloaded to the municipality, and we've had to get the experience and seek out the experts and do everything that we could. But I'll never forget the first year that we opened the Out of the Cold shelter, and that was in 2023. And Mom had just gone into long-term care. She had advanced Alzheimer's at that point, and had just gone into long-term care. And it was my first Christmas without her at home. And I really had no idea what to do with myself. And so Christmas Eve, Dining with Dignity was having a turkey dinner. And so I trotted over there and was mashing potatoes in the kitchen just to give myself something to do that I could do to help. But I remember having this feeling of like, oh, we've opened this Out of the Cold shelter. We've solved all of the problems of the world. We've really done something, we've really done something here. And I was sitting having supper with everybody after supper was ready. And there was probably about 25 people there. And I was sitting talking to Crystal Reynolds, who runs the program. And there was a gentleman sitting at the end of the table, and he was kind of listening quietly. And I was talking about the Out of the Cold shelter and how great it was. And, again, I was feeling like, oh my goodness, we've done something, this is fantastic. And he said to me, and I learned so much that night. He said to me, can I give you a little bit of feedback? And I said, absolutely. And he went on to tell me that, there were some good parts to the shelter, but then there were so many things that we hadn't really solved in that moment, and he still chose to live rough because he collected bottles overnight, and he couldn't get in and out of the shelter with those bottles because he couldn't bring your stuff with you, that kind of idea. And so he chose only to go to the shelter every so often, and the rest of the time slept rough because, in order to keep his life going and survive, he needed to collect bottles and do that kind of stuff. So it really taught me very quickly that it is such a complex challenge that we really do need the support of every level of government. Now, having seen the shelter on King George open, that was a prime example of all levels of government coming together and doing the right thing.
No.
It still has its challenges that we need to work through, but the structure, foundation, the staff, incredibly dedicated, and that is we need to do more of that collaboration piece to get where we need to go.
Yeah, it's a little upsetting, and I see it all the time, and every time I see somebody, I always try to make an effort and helping those folks out with whatever I have at that time. It doesn't matter if I'm Niagara Falls or Halifax or Miramichi or wherever. And the stigma against homeless folks or unhoused, they get stigmatized, and it's something that needs to stop. We don't know if it was from their mental health, if it was from drug overuse, or if it was they got into an accident, they couldn't pay the bills, end up living in the car, they're on the street. That needs to stop. So when somebody walks by somebody, they should stop and at least ask them if they're okay and if there's anything that I can do to help you. And that needs to stop. They need the help. People need the help. Just because there's always people saying, if I say something, it's not going to make a difference. Yes, one person, it doesn't matter who are. One voice is multiple voices. You got to help.
That's right.
So I know as far as homelessness, so you're saying it's partly of the provincial government and municipal governments. And I was also talking to MLA Michelle Conrad, and she started the Harvest House, which is part of to get them helped out of drugs. And then it's not permanent. It's just kind of like a temporary thing, is it? Yeah. And then they go out. So, and another thing that I did mention to you about 12 Neighbors, and I wanted to, have you heard anything about 12 Neighbors? And what do you think about the work that they have done, Marcel LeBron? Because I was there over a week ago, and my daughter knew the kind of person I am. I'm always trying to help and do this, do that. And she brought me up there. Her wife, Ashley, was her birthday. So on her birthday, she brought me to 12 Neighbors Community. Yeah. And if you haven't been there, you got to go there. Yeah. It's just a huge building with the cafe, and there's like a place they can buy souvenirs that the people from the residents made to help them. Yeah. So they get like 30%. And it is a gated community and everything. So I just wanted your thoughts. Have you heard about it? Have you talked about it? Which I know you did. And I just wanted your thoughts about it. And can we possibly have tiny homes here in Miramichi?
Yeah, so when Chad DePlacy was still on council, he did a lot of work in exploring that, for sure. Chad has always been my go-to when it comes to those social connections and social issues that we're seeing. He lives it and breathes it with his work as a community developer for Horizon. So really, he taught me a lot while he was on council. And that's the thing about council, right? When you're surrounded by so many different people with different perspectives, you learn. and that's the amazing thing. So he had done some research, had gone to visit, and things like that. So we're in the works and I don't want to give that false impression that they're coming next week.
No.
We're starting to have we're going to have those conversations and see what might be possible, right? Because we're looking at whatever ways we can help the community, and that's always going to be something that we take a look at, because we don't have all the answers, and if something's working somewhere else, let's figure that out.
See how it can work here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely on our radar, and definitely on the horizon, and something that we need to really sit down with and understand the model that they have, how it all happened, how it could happen, does it transfer as far as scalability, as they say in business, can it scale up to a community like ours? So yeah, we're at the very beginnings of that, but definitely wanting to see what could work for us.
Yeah, because I do realize that it's a nonprofit organization, and I know there's some provincial help with that, but we do need a lot of local funding to actually get this off the ground. And as you know, as Miramichi, there's lots of volunteers. There's lots of people want to help out. There's lots of carpenters. My dad was a carpenter for 40 years, but he can't do too much of anything anymore. Same as your mom. He doesn't have Alzheimer's, but he has a disability with his lungs where he can't go too far. So, but him doing a lot of carpentry and stuff, he taught me a lot of things that you can build anything that you put your mind to.
Yeah.
There's people out there that are willing to help.
Yep.
And start something small, because it only starts one. And I was talking to a lady at 12 Neighbors. Mm-hmm. Her name was Catherine. I have a video of that if you want to watch it or not. Mm-hmm. But she was saying the 12 Neighbors, it's a community that helped her a lot. And just by having 4 walls means a lot. Yeah. And she just kind of grew. Now she's got a job there. She's collecting money, and she's eventually getting out eventually. So I know, well, it is amazing, and I know there's not a lot of money to be made and stuff like this, but if you invest in your people, the people will invest into the city and grow it better. So that's my thoughts. And I know, so as far as the city, what can the city do? Like, I know you have to rezone the land, the water, sewage. You guys kind of do all that stuff. So what's the next steps in order to further this?
Yeah, for us it would be to meet with them and see what would be the art of possible, and get the expert opinions on, is this something that fits in our community? Is it a good fit for our community? And then see what would be required, right? Is it land? Is it rezoning? Is it funding? Is it funding that we have to go look for from other levels of government? So it's definitely government can be a longer process than we want. Yep. But it also includes, protections for our community as well, and our citizens, that we can't just decide today that we're doing this and then, off we go tomorrow. So yeah, it's really starting those conversations with 12 Neighbors and seeing what is the art of possible for our community.
Yeah. So the biggest part is, and this is one of the reasons why I keep bringing this up online, my content, talking to you about it, is you got to get the word out. You got to talk about it. If you don't talk about it, nothing will be raised. So, and I know there's a lot of great Miramichiers around that wants to help, that has, some funding, that may want to help in these situations. So the more we talk about it, the more they be like, where am I going to invest this year? And it might fulfill them. So, yeah. So my next question, do you believe tiny homes could give people an experience of homelessness and a real opportunity to get back on their feet.
Yeah, I think, tiny homes in general, I think are the way of the future. We're seeing more and more development around tiny homes, not just necessarily for those that are experiencing homelessness, but just in general. We're seeing more and more communities embrace the tiny home idea. Some days I think, could I fit everything I own into a tiny home? No. Should I?
Yeah.
Should I get
Well,
rid of all my junk?
it's almost like a mini home park, eh? But
Right? Yeah.
tiny homes parks.
Yeah.
They just need a little place to put their head and get their feet back, get back up on their feet.
Yeah, I think we need to, expand what housing looks like in Miramichi. We're getting better. We've got some apartment buildings, we've got townhouses, we've got row houses now. We've got single family homes. None of those existed, in my childhood. It was single family homes and maybe the odd,
Apartment.
two-story apartment, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. So we're really trying to expand what housing in general looks like here in Miramichi. So I think tiny homes are definitely the way of the future and, could play a very big part in how we support those who are unhoused right now.
Well, if you're looking for volunteers, my whole family are looking to help out with this project. So we're all willing to help out volunteers. So yeah. So I know there's a lot of projects, and I know there's a lot of apartments that you guys want to put up around the area, but there's rezoning issues. And there's been some public hearings about that, and that's a start. So people, you have to hear what people have to say because if something's coming in their area, they're like, "Whoa, what's going on here? What? I want my input."
Yep.
So I know there's the multiplex going on. There's lots of projects in the Miramichi right now. Get the multiplex. You got the Centennial Bridge closure. that's a huge project that should have been done years ago. Many years ago. Yeah. But unfortunately, it's closed. But at the same time, you don't want to see nobody falling through the bridge into the ocean. It's in bad shape. And I was talking to a lady. She canoes up and down the river. Okay. She goes, if you haven't did it already, she said, you got to do it. It's just the site, the hills, everything, the cliffs. And when she looked underneath the bridge, and she was like, it's scary. Yeah. It's scary. Everything's falling in. So can you let us know about the projects that's in Miramichi, the progress and the delays? If it's the multiplex, Centennial Bridge, can you give us a little bit of information about the projects like right now?
Yeah. So right now we're expecting the Arbeck Wellness Center to open around the 1st of December. So it is a bit delayed. It was meant to be the end of September, beginning of October. And so there is a little bit of a delay right now. And they'll be looking to turn everything over to the city at the end of November. And then for us to be able to work out the kinks before we open it to the public, and then open around the 1st of December to the public.
Nice. Yeah, I took my drone. I flew my drone around the area there. You weren't allowed to go in, but I just flew it around, and I seen it. I didn't realize how big it was. It's crazy big and huge parking lot. But I know there's a lot of controversy about this. And there are a lot of folks worried about the LBA and Golden Hawk and all these facilities. So I know the last meeting you guys took a vote on extending it. How far are you guys extending it as far as these other facilities like the LBA, Golden Hawk? How long before the funding stops?
Right now, it's only until the Arbeck Wellness Center opens. And part of the question that Deputy Mayor Quinn and I asked was, what would it cost us, and could we get permission to keep it open for the season? Right. So from now until next spring. And part of the reasoning is, the bridge closure is making it tougher than we expected, even to get people to the new facility in December. So for me, it's not about hanging on to the nostalgia of those buildings. It's hanging on right now to the fact that we are divided physically by that bridge and our inability to cross it. And so getting kids and seniors and everything over to the Arbec Wellness Center is more of a challenge right now for the next couple of years. So until we can have bit more smooth sailing, let's say, that's my interest in wanting to know what it would cost us. And can we get permission from the province? Because part of our agreement, our funding agreement with the province and with the federal government, is that we will no longer operate those facilities once the Arbec Wellness Center is opened.
Yeah.
So it's there's a lot of challenges there. Right now, they're slated to close when the new center opens. We don't own the LBA, so whether it stays open or not after that will be up to the owners.
Yeah. Yes, run by the St. John Catholic Roman Church, or I think.
Yeah,
but I'm not. Don't mark me wrong, but
there's two
Chatham Rink Association, yeah,
and the Diocese of St. John. So there's two there that make those decisions.
Yeah, for sure. There's lots of topics I'd like to talk to you about. Maybe we're doing another interview for another day.
We can do part two.
Yeah, we can do part two, that's for sure. Harkins Academy, that's devastated. I went to that school. Even the other school that was there, the middle school up along there. I went to that school as well. Yeah. Did a lot of photos, a lot of memories in that place. So I guess my point, since I'm on the topic of historical buildings, and I've seen a lot. I've taken a lot of videos of them. And I do understand when investors coming in, they buy buildings. Thank God the courthouse is still standing. The old courthouse is still standing, turned into apartments. So for this not to happen again, what's the city plans of trying to protect these buildings to make sure that these investors with lots of money to play with, that it won't happen again? Because that building was 130 years old, and for it to tear down like that, that's crazy. Do you guys have plans or talked about plans? Like, what's the procedure when somebody gets handed over a building like that?
Yeah, so that it was sold by the province, right? So we
oh, okay.
Yeah, we never owned it. It was never owned by the city. It was always a provincial building because it was a school. So it was sold by the province, and that's the challenge, right? So in any of the properties that the city now owns, so that we declare surplus, we include in the contract that if the developer doesn't build what they're proposing within a year or 18 months, we can buy the property back for what it was sold for. And so that's the piece now I have to bring to council to have a discussion. But that's where I see us stepping in with the province now, is to lobby the province to include the same, right? So when they're selling a piece of property, whether it be like a school or whatever, that it includes a piece in the contract that it has to be developed within a year or 18 months or 24 months, or that otherwise they can pull it back and sell it again.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a gray area, I guess. Hopefully we can preserve everything. Hopefully we can preserve what we have now in the Miramichi.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a beautiful building, and I wish it hadn't come to where it was, Yeah.
Yeah. I know my dad used to be a custodian there at one time. So not only went to school there, my dad was a custodian there as well.
Yeah. My mom taught there.
Did she? Yeah. I mean, that's why it hit so hard on Facebook. Everybody had a part of it.
Of course.
So another project I want to talk about, and it's kind of a touchy subject, and you probably know where I'm going with it, is these AI data centers. And I know you guys got a lot of heat off it, but you had to keep your options open to have something like here. And and right now it's on put on hold.
Mhm.
For myself, one of my biggest issues about it is the environmental impact of our environment. You know, and that's, I mean, there's also noise pollution, there's also electrical grid, there's also water consumption, but the environment, they're all important. And I know there's a review right now for it, which you guys are doing, but my biggest concern is the environmental impact
Mhm.
of the product, because my daughter, she's not only a scientist, she's a biologist, but she teaches biology. She's big on
Yeah.
Mother Nature. She loves that. She tells me all about it. She goes, Dad, doesn't matter what you do, you say they don't listen to you. And as far as like the higher politicians and stuff, so it's all
Yeah.
about making money, but it's not always about making money. So I guess what I'm saying is, oh, I'm not also going to forget is we also have unstable ground from the Rishabukto sandstone. I'm not sure if you know, it's because anybody that lives along the river, there's a tendency to, it's all shell rock everywhere, right? So the shakiness. So I just want to know your thoughts on the AI data center. How's the review going? And I heard there was a company interested to get on the old repap site, I think, because they can handle the power grid. So I just wanted your thoughts and updates on these AI data centers.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. It's been, a hot topic for sure for the last couple of months. So, data centers are still evolving, right? We're at the beginning, really, of data centers. And so, there's a lot for us to learn before we go down that road, and there's been a few companies interested in establishing here. Some of those companies have had conversations with our city staff. They've had conversations with the province, but the province itself is still in the midst of its review on where it wants to place restrictions or guidelines for data centers within the province of New Brunswick. Same with the federal government. So for us, it's an opportunity to do our own research, but also see where the provincial and federal governments are going to go with regulations, and if it's enough or not enough. Can we add on? Do we want to go there? All of that is still to come, and that is one of the big things that I want people to understand. There's no decision. There's no
No.
commitment. We haven't. We're not in a deal with anyone. We're not, not breaking ground on anything without telling anybody. We are very literally at the beginning of exploring
Yeah.
this as options. And
Yeah.
even if we, at some point down the road, decided to include data center as a potential use of heavy industrial, does not mean one's coming next week.
Yeah.
And so, and I know it's really easy for me to say that, and people say, oh, she's just trying to cover herself. But, we are just learning, and we are just exploring what that could mean for Miramichi, but we're nowhere near having one set up shop here.
Yeah. No, and I understand. I mean, like I keep bringing up 30 years ago. Um, it doesn't matter if you don't like it or not. There's already these huge data centers all over Canada in the States,
Mm-hmm.
and it's to the point now, which is sad. If we don't do it, we're going to fall behind, and it's unfortunately. And with all this AI and ChatGPT and Google AI, it's so fast paced,
Yeah.
and no normal human being can keep up with this at all.
Yeah.
So, and it's for me, I don't like it. I don't like it, but it's pretty much out of our control. And if it's coming, it's coming. So, it's pretty rough. So, but
Well, and
besides
I think,
that,
if we get down that road at some point, right? It's how do we put in as many possible protections for our community as we can, right?
Yeah.
So right now we're not, like I said, we're nowhere near that. But if we get to that point down the road, then what does that look like for us?
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you. So what I like to do on my show is called Miramichi Rapid Fire, which you probably, I'm not sure if you heard about it. So whatever comes up on the top of your head, you just spit it out and let me know. So just let me know when you're ready and we can get started.
Okay, give her.
All right. Give her on the river, eh? Give her on Miramichi Talks.
Right.
So Miramichi Rapid Fire.
Yeah.
So favorite season.
Favorite season, fall, for sure.
Everybody's picking fall. There's a lot of weddings in the fall this year. It's crazy.
Well, my birthday's in the fall, so.
Is it? Favorite Miramichi event?
Oh, that's a tough one. I've been the president several times of the Irish Festival, so I do lean a little bit heavier on the Irish Festival, but actually we don't even do it anymore, but it was the Dragon Boat Festival.
Okay, nice. Coffee or tea?
Neither.
Let me guess. Mike's the last guy you interviewed was Mike Dawson, and he said energy drink.
I don't do those either, but I if my favorite thing is ginger ale. If I'm having a really stressful day, orange Fanta.
Okay, all right. Does pineapple belong on a pizza?
Yes.
Oh, you're just like the wife. You're a redhead. You're just like the wife.
Yes. Yes.
So does Mike. Mike likes pineapple. I don't like pineapple on a pizza. I don't know. It just makes it soggy. I don't know about that.
Definitely.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs. I have two of them.
Hardest thing about being mayor?
Not being able to fix everything.
And one word to describe Miramichi.
Amazing.
All right, so I just got a few more questions for you before I'll let you go because I know you got a busy day. It's Monday.
Yep.
And so what's something Miramichi doesn't get enough credit for?
I think how resilient the community is and how hardworking the community is. You know, I talked about that a little bit at the beginning. We don't tell our story enough. We have so many amazing things going on here, and I think we just forget. I think we forget.
Yeah. All right, so last question for you, Mayor Arsenault. I'll finish off with this. 4 years from now, when you look back at the time as mayor, what do you hope the people of Miramichi will say you accomplished?
It's going to sound cheesy, but I really hope people look back and say, she did the best she could to make life better here.
All right. Well, with that being said, thank you so much, Mary. Veronique.
Yeah, close.
Arsenault.
So good.
Vero. Thanks for coming into Miramichi Talks. I hope I can get you on again later on in the future.
Anytime.
Best of luck. Best of luck with everything. And thanks again. And we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for what you're doing.
I appreciate it. Take care.
Take care.
Bye. Well, thank you. If you made it this long, thanks so much for joining me here at Miramichi Talks with Excursions with Pat, interviewing Mayor Veronique Arsenault, your mayor of Miramichi. It was a great talk, great conversation with her. I definitely will bring her back on again. But I'd like to thank you all again for taking the time out of your day to watch us here at Miramichi Talks. But thanks again. Don't forget to hit that like, hit the subscribe, and we'll see you next time.